Hello, and welcome back to the live stream. All right, welcome back to the live stream. We're looking at the price of Bitcoin right now. It went crazy high. It went at right now 89,000, all the way from 87,000 in the past literally like 20 minutes or so. And yeah, it's very interesting. So yeah, we started the stream right now at 89,000, and we want to talk about like what's been happening in the past couple minutes specifically, and what am I using here in this trading view chart area. So let's just keep this here. But yeah, we have right now at 89,000 is going up high, super high. We can see the reason why it's going up so high right now is because there was a lot of like liquidity bubbles around this area and this area over here basically. So you can see at the very bottom here, every time it like went up to certain phases, it liquidated some other phases. That's why like it went even higher up. So we can see at the very around this area right now is a lot of liquidation bubbles. So this is what I'm using here, the liquidity levels by Leviathan. Same thing here, like Lux Algo liquidity sweeps. These two are very very nice here in team viewer. Sorry, in trading view, which is very interesting. We can see that right now the price went up significantly high, and a lot of bubbles are forming. We can see that right now the price is stuck between two major bubbles around 88,600 and around 89,500. So it's gonna hover between this for a little bit. It's gonna stay like around this for a little bit unless it shoots up all the way here, and then it liquidates basically like the levels up here. But yeah. Yeah, so the price now is hovering around 89,100 and is going to stay here for probably a little bit because there's a lot of liquidation zones at the very bottom and the very end from what we saw before. Even from yesterday's stream, we can see why the price already went up today. So the price here is the reason why it went up all of this time and didn't fall at the very bottom is because there's a lot of liquidity that's sitting over here. So when the price, for example, hit this, it shot all the way up, and then there's a lot even more liquidity at this top. So that's why it shot all the way up here, and then it stayed stable for around this time, around 87,000 to 87,400, and then it got bought a lot around this area. Then it hit this no, not this, around this liquidity pool area. Sorry, this liquidity pool area, where then it liquidated a lot of people. So then it the price shot up by a little bit. Then it went down here for a little bit, and then now it's hovering around 87,000, and now it went all the way up after liquidating so many people at around 89,000, the current price that's going on right now. But yeah, I think for a little bit at least, we can see already it went up from 88,000 to 89,000 the last 5 minutes. 88,800 to 89,000 to 200, which is a pretty significant thing. And now the price from the start of the day is over 3.5% from yesterday, which is very interesting. You can see now the buyers are trying so hard to drive the price up to hit these liquidation zones at the very top here. So when if the price goes all the way up here, then a lot of other people will get liquidated, so then it will shoot the price even more higher up. But we can see at the very bottom here, there's other liquidation zones where if people already, if the price goes all the way down here, around 80,600, then other people will also get liquidated, so the price will even go even more down. So this is very interesting, and yeah, is very interesting. The price now is hovering around 89,170. And 89,100 around that, and it's sitting around there for a little bit. And we just have to see, wait a little bit before we make, like, think about any decision that we're gonna make about if it reaches around this certain area, then it will probably like liquidate a lot more people. Then it will go up to the price. The price will go up even higher because there's a lot of like liquidity pools similar to what's happening at the very bottom here, because a lot of people bought at that area. But you can see even like after they developed like the liquidity pools at the very bottom here, a lot of people just went down to try to hit this liquidity pool to stay between these levels. Yeah, this is very interesting, and we wanted to talk also about certain basically news articles that I wanted to mention, which is very interesting. But I think for a little bit at least, the price will stay around this area, around the 88,700 or like the 89,100. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, hey, good day. I'm waiting for your live stream session because I want to learn and avoid losses in my trading. Yeah, of course. Of course, you need to learn, you need to understand what all of this means, and we need to learn slowly and not make any decisive decision, like quick decisions, without understanding what everything means, you know? Yeah, so right now the price is sitting around 88,900. And I think now the trading volume will be probably like equal because both levels are very significant levels. So a lot of people would want to either for the price to reach this specific level or this specific level from what we talked about. And if it reaches any of this specific, like any of these levels, then it will even shoot up even higher or even like lower at the very bottom here. Yeah, the price now is 88,950, and there's also like some interesting things I want to talk about. Some like a lot of like washout, like Bitcoin washout, like some news articles from TradingView that talk about prices of Bitcoin even like reaching something crazy like 180,000 or something like that in 90 days. This is from like GMI. So here's like what the news. This is what the news are this is what the news are. Here's what actually like in the news Bitcoin like TradingView article, it's like basically it reports that the head of macro research at like Global Macro Investment, the GMI that we're talking about, Julian Bettel, posted on RSI like base chart on X, formerly Twitter, showing that historically after the RSI indicator went below 30, Bitcoin's average price path sometimes rose sharply over the next 90 days. Potentially over the past 90 days, potentially towards like 180,000. But that was described as like a conditional template chart, not a guarantee prediction. So it's tied to like technical analysis and GMI's view that like the Bitcoin cycle may extend into 2026, and that the traditional 4-year cycle isn't the only framework. The article explicitly states that like chart isn't meant to be a precise like precision forecast, and emphasizes the conditional nature of the framework. So like the price right now is around 88,800, and I think like from what we're seeing right now, there's a little bit of fair value gap, not really because of the first candlestick as well that's happening around this area. Yeah, it's very interesting, very informative right now. So 88,700. So it's going down very significantly because both buyers and sellers are trying to hit these specific key points. because we can, yeah, see right now if it hits this specific key point right now, like around this area, it will even drive more down because there's a liquidation area at the very bottom. Now a lot of buyers are going to try to step in to stop it, from what we can see here. Yeah, this is very interesting. It's hovering around 88,600. It went up significantly from literally like a past hour or so. Yeah, see now if it hits these specific like major liquidation spots, then it will actually liquidate. Yeah, see, so you can see that already because it hit this specific major spot like at 88,600, around that, we knew that it was going to go down even like more right now. Yeah, so now buyers are going to start to like, even these specific major spots are still like major liquidity spots. Yeah, we were calling it. We were literally calling it, saying that if it like reaches this specific area, it would like liquidate a lot of people, which drives the price even more down. It was either between the around here or around here, and it was just literally just showing that it's gonna go around here. That's why yeah, we knew it. We literally called it at the start. Yeah, but if you see the price now, a lot of like buyers will try to like hold it around this area because there's other like liquidation spots at the very bottom here as well, and around this area is gonna start another. Yeah, it's crushing. Yeah, because there's a lot of liquidity, liquidation levels at this area. So a lot of people try to keep the price around this area. So when it hit that, hit the specific thing, also it went down very like significantly. But yeah, now it's sitting around 88,300. Literally went from 89,000 in the last like 10 minutes to 88,300. Literally in 10 minutes, which is very interesting. But yeah, we still need to wait and see like the next liquidation things. I suggest if you want to use like similar strategies, you should look at liquidation heat maps, and it will like show you where most of the like liquidation is. So you will see where the price is like wanting to go. This doesn't really guarantee that it's gonna go there, but this is what like most of the time where it like is trying to go, because it like you can see we were talking even like when the price was around here. We started the stream when the price is around here, and we were saying that if it either reaches this specific spot or this specific spot, then the price will still kind of continue to go up, or if it reached like we talked like around this spot, the price will still continue to go down, and that's basically what's happening right now. Yeah, and if it continues to go even like towards here, like around this specific areas, then there's other liquidity like levels, liquidation levels that we can see here. So it will even go even more down if it reaches like this specific area. So we still have to wait, and if it reaches this specific area, you like, it's basically telling you that it's going to go down. Yeah, it's dropping like crazy since it started at 89,000. But yeah, maybe buyers will try to keep the price along these two like liquidation levels, like these two areas, and try to like stabilize similar to what they tried to do at the very top. Yeah, it's sitting around 88,300. It keeps doing these like very high, very quick, like sharp hits. Even like yesterday when we were live, it showed us that we were going, we were like it went so fast at the very top, literally in a couple like in less than an hour, it went to all the way up here, which is very similar to today actually. Even like similar time frame as well. I remember this being live when I when that showed. But yeah, the price now is around 88,400, and it's probably gonna stay a little bit around these specific areas because there is like probably liquidation, like liquidation levels in both here and here. So this means that both buyers and sellers are gonna try to drive the price to certain points. So if it reaches this specific point, for example, then the price will go up higher. But if it reaches this specific point, then the price will go even like lower. So you need to like wait to specific like areas, and then after it reaches this, like if it reaches this specific area, you like need to know that it's gonna continue to go up, or is it gonna continue to go down. But yeah, there's another, you can see now two new liquidation levels popped up, these two ones, which are pretty big. So this is similar to what happened up here and up here, and down here, I mean. So now the prices are gonna try to hover between those, or if it touches like around here, then it will absolutely go even higher now. But you can see that there's a lot of buying volume, which if it like arrives at this area, then it means that it will even go higher. But yeah, the price now is around 88,500. We thought it will stay here for a little bit, and it's staying here for a little bit, but it's not really giving a lot of, there's not much information about where it's going. There's a lot of buying, but there's still like a basically similar amount of buying and selling in the last like 6 minutes. Yeah, so the indicators that I'm using right now are basically I have the Lux Algo liquidity sweep. This shows you like the other like liquidity sweep areas where prices like are trying to go, and like yeah, similar to what's back here as well, like these specific ones. And the other one is the basically like liquidation levels, which I think are very helpful to see like where prices are trying to go, because like for example, if it hits this specific area like 88,800 or something, then it will continue to even liquidate a lot of people, which would drive the price slightly more up to like 89,000 or 88,900. But the thing is, trading Bitcoin, the percentage of difference is pretty small. So even if you're trying to trade Bitcoin, it will not like give you much. Yeah, you can see the price is actually going like 88,700. If it reaches this specific milestone over here, then it will go up even like slightly more to like maybe around here or something in the next candlestick or something. Yeah, we can see it happening if it reaches this. But now it didn't reach it yet. We're still waiting for it. You see there's a lot of buying and like selling that's happening right now, trying to hold them at the same like level. There's so much buying and so much selling going on. That's why the price is trying to hold, because if it reaches this area, it will liquidate a lot of like the sellers, so a lot of the short positions, not the sellers, but yeah. So a lot of people will try to bet the opposite like way to stop themselves from reaching this specific level, basically. Yeah, so we see if it reaches this specific level like up here, it will continue to drive like to up here, but it's still not trying to do it. It's still not doing it. So because it still didn't reach it, we're still waiting for it to reach. Yeah, the price is hovering around 88,600, and there's not really much change that is happening since the last like couple minutes. We just need to see what's happening here. Hello, welcome to the stream. It's nice to see you guys again. You can see so much buying and selling that's going on. There's so much buying here. Like the level of the candlestick already reached nearly the top here, but it needs to reach this like areas of the price for it to like actually liquidate some other people. which then would drive the price up. So basically, if it reaches this specific area, like this specific area, it then will like liquidate all the way to the very top here. But similarly, it's the opposite. If it reaches like now, you can see there's a little bit of liquidation hovering around this area. So like 2 candlesticks ago, if it reaches like 88,200 or like maybe 88,100, then it will even shoot up slightly more down to like 88,000 or 87,900. But we can see why the price is not going. We talked about this last time about, but we were using only the liquidity sweeps, not just the liquidation levels. But now, since we see the liquidation levels, you can also use a liquidation heat map or something like that, and it will show you like even better, better information about where the liquidity is, or where a lot of people might get liquidated. So it's very, very interesting. Yeah, so the price right now is around 88,500, and it's stuck, like basically there's a new slightly small support and resistance area. Because both parties don't want to hit these specific areas. I thought it will be like around here, but there's a little new liquidation zones that are developing at the top here and the very bottom. Yeah, there's so much like both buying and selling at the same time. There's like basically the same amount of volume that's happening. That's why like it's indecisive to say like, oh, the price is going up now or the price is going down now. You have to wait a little bit to know the information. If it like arrives like here, you know it will go down even slightly more to arrive here maybe. Similarly here, the price will try to drive up here because you can see here there's more liquidation than like at around here. So the price is still around 88,500. That's what we were really like where we were talking about for the last couple of minutes. And literally, like even like both of these candlesticks, there's so much like basically buying and selling volume that is so undecisive on where it ended. But we can see from like even the candlestick reached a pretty decent high to 88,800. So it's very, very interesting. Which it needs to like reach even slightly higher to liquidate these other positions. But I believe because there was a big like buying that happened a little bit ago, and it didn't liquidate the other people, it means that their sellers are still like basically trying to step in, because a lot of buyers tried to buy to liquidate the short positions. But yeah, the price right now is around 88,500, and it's very interesting that this is basically like equal levels of buying and selling. So the price right now is 88,480, and we need still to see if it reaches these specific like areas, because as we were mentioning before, right now I'm using the liquidation levels from like basically Leviathan, and it's like basically on Trading View. You can use it for free and you can check where the price wants to go. So there's basically equal momentum or equal amount of volume for both buying and selling. So the price is not changing as much compared to what happened before here. You can see before here there was like basically liquidity spots that were there. That's why like even when it like reaches specific points, it still like shot up even more and even shot up even more. Even like for example like for here, it shot up all the way up here, which there wasn't really much liquidation spots, so it It's like hovered around this area for a little bit, then it basically hit all the way down here, which it liquidated some other spots. So then that's why it went all the way down here. Now it's sitting around these specific areas, around 88,700 and 82,000. There isn't much volume going on actually. I wonder why. There's it's supposed to be like the active hours are supposed to be very soon. Um, we can see like similarly to what happened literally yesterday, there's a lot of buying and selling momentum that happened, and even after buying here, we can kind of like understand what happened at the very bottom, like at the very area around here. We can see there was a major liquidity sweep area here. That's why there was a lot of struggling between buyers and sellers in this specific zone. Then after that, it reached this specific area after so many buyers like tried to save some liquidity at the very bottom here. So it reaches all the way at the very top here. That's why the price shot up like crazy, because you can see even like from here there was a lot of liquidity that's just sitting there. So then even after hitting all of these specific major spots, there was even bigger like liquidity sweep areas at the very top here, which means if it reached this specific area as well, the price would have even continued to shot up even more. But it didn't, and it reached like around this area, and then it like dropped all the way down. I believe all of this is from just regular selling and from the short positions like trying to lower the price for them to like not get liquidated at the very top again. So yeah, even like similar to here, like similar to this area is basically like both sellers and short-term like short positions, short contracts, and that's why like it dropped the price a little bit, which then like I believe the buyers tried to even like stabilize around here from like the amount of like the candlestick that started, but you can see even dropping all the way down here. There's like liquidation spots from the previous like areas around here. So then after it it reaches this specific area, the liquidation that started from this area would then like hit, and then will liquidate the long positions. So then it drove the the position even like lower, hitting more other like liquidations, because there's like a lot of liquidation level here. It dropped the price even way lower to these specific like liquidity bubbles that formed from buyers like trying to long the position. Doing the same thing also like here, you can see these specific ones after the price hit all the way like here, it even like hit all here under here around 88,500, and then it also liquidated so many buyers that like long the position from the top here. That's why it already continued to drop all the way down here. And because there's like basically a pretty decent amount of liquidity sweep at the very bottom here, buyers try to hold the position around this specific area, like stabilize the price. But even they couldn't do it, and it hit this liquidation level, which also hit another liquidation level, which dropped it all the way down here. Yeah, and then like basically it stabilized yesterday. It didn't really, like just around these specific levels. Yeah, and we were even live, I think, during like these specific hours, similar to what's happening over here. We can see like, for example, this over here would cause the price to go up here. Yeah, and you see like there's a lot of like liquidity that's sitting over here, which means that if it hit this specific area, it went all the way up here. So this is like, you can see where the price is trying to go. Like this is why like over here it's going up here, trying to hit this liquidity pool at the very top. Now there's so many like positions and liquidity liquidation levels opening. Yeah, okay, you see now the price is going up very fast, around 88,700, to try to reach these liquidation zones over here. So if it reaches like around this area of liquidation, yeah, see, if it reaches this around area of liquidation, it will go up a little bit more now. Yeah, see, we know that, we knew that. We can read it. It's so simple. It's so simple. Yeah, so now it basically shows you that it liquidated the other positions and it reached all the way to 89,200 actually. So we just like saw it. And maybe because like now it reached all the way to the top, a lot of people started selling their position. That's why the price is like not going even higher. But there's more even like liquidity areas that just developed, as we can see from the like liquidation levels indicator that we're using, that now the price is going to try to be in between this, trying to go all the way up here or down here. And if it does go all the way up here, it means it will go even slightly more up or slightly more down. So I wouldn't suggest trading just the actual normal candle. You should see where the price is going and trade like right before it hits specific liquidation levels. But yeah, see, it's so interesting. It's so interesting. We knew that it's gonna happen. Like it's so simple. Just follow where the liquidation levels are, and just see where it's gonna go. This is like it's telling you, oh, the market wants to go here, and the price wants to go here and go here. So it did go all the way up here. Literally, the price went all the way to 89,150. But yeah, this what happened right now is similar to what happened here as well. Basically, a lot of sellers are just like selling, or because they already like, or like they try to take profit basically. But now the newer liquidation areas are like over here and over here. There's other like liquidity areas that we can see from the very top. Like you can see around these ones are at the very top here, and at the bottom one there's these ones. This is basically like a continuation. So the lines that are reaching the live time are still like liquidity bubbles that are still in play, but the ones that already stopped over here means like it already liquidated the positions. Yeah, similar to what is over here. Yeah, so now it could be the opposite. We can see the price actually going down now. If for example you can see that it reaches like this small liquidity pool, it might like also like stand here if it reaches like around here, which is pretty small. Yeah, we can see this happening now actually. It might hit it because it's very, very close. It will reach like maybe around here or something, a little bit more, because this is like you can literally see where the price is trying to go. Sitting around 88,300 now, from reaching all the way to 89,150, and it already went before to 89,472. But now it's hovering around 88,450, and it's hovering around this because it already like basically like sold around here for a little bit. So then the price will probably stabilize for a little bit, and then it will basically give you like the new liquidation bubbles. But yeah, similar to this here, you can see there's so much selling going on right now. There's a lot of like selling that's going on. The candle like literally also hit like this liquidity pool at the very bottom. Yeah, this is like where you can like kind of see where the price is trying to go so hard, and it will like, yeah, see, these are the new liquidity bubbles because of the amount of volume that's trading is pretty significant. But yeah, but the previous candlestick was insane, reaching all the way up here, and then like, yeah, see, we can tell, we know that it's real, we know that it hit that, and then when it hit that, it went down more. We were seeing that is gonna happen. Yeah, but we can see now this is the other indicator that I'm using. Oh, it's even gonna go down more now. It's even going to go down more because of the liquidity that's at the very. We can see that's happening, man. Yeah, this is very, very interesting. We called it like going down a little bit more. It reached all the way down here to 87,900, and it still might even go down more because there's still a lot of sellers right now. A lot of like selling volume. But yeah, this is the other indicator that I'm using, the basically liquidity sweep indicator. This is basically very similar to the liquidity bubble, but it shows you where the sweep might be, where the price usually goes down and maybe comes back up sometimes. But yeah, it's just, yeah, it's very, very interesting. The price went all the way down to 87,800, and I was hovering around 88,000. So I would suggest, like, if you are trying to like trade your own, you should definitely like look into where the liquidation heat maps are. These are very, very good indicators about where the price is trying to go. Yeah, interesting. So you can see here, but because the volume over here already like liquidated the area, so it kind of like already stopped, kind of. So other buyers are putting more like basically liquidity at the very bottom. They're trying to long their position, so that's why a lot of buyers like try to step in right now. Yeah, but you can see this candlestick is insane. It went all the way up to 88,400 and all the way down to 87,800. Which is very significant because previous candles, for example, the trading was like very minimal, literally like a couple, like hundreds, like 100 in the like in a span of 3 minutes. But now it's like going up 100 and like or like 200 in like a span of a couple seconds. This is because the market basically opened and a lot of people are trying to buy and sell. So, for example, let's see here that if the price, this is a continuation of the liquidity sweep. So the price, if it hits this specific liquidity area, yeah, if it hits this specific area, it will go down even slightly more. So around this area, if it reaches this specific area. Yeah, see? Yeah, we called it and it happened the same second. It's so interesting. We said, yeah, see, it's still going down. We know that if it hits this specific area, it will go down, and it did. Yeah, so now it's hovering around 87,900 or 88,000, which is basically kind of around the area of the start of the um, pretty significant hit that started. Yeah, so it we saw that it went all the way down here because it basically like liquidated this area for a little bit. But it might do it again because for some reason there's still like liquidation that is happening over here. I think like because a lot of buyers are trying to buy, try to hit this specific area, so they're putting pretty much big contracts or something. So now it's hitting around 88,140, and it's over like 2,000 since the market opened. So it's over like 1,900, 1,800, 2% since the market opened, which is pretty significant. Yep, still the same thing that's happening. The price is hovering around 88,000 or 88,100, but because there's a lot of like bubbles, liquidation bubbles here and like around this area, so it probably hover around this for a decent amount of time. Yeah, this is a lot of sellers trying to basically hold the position around this area, which they will try to do because this is basically the middle of where we can see where the liquidation might happen, like here and up there. Now sitting around 88,140, and like yeah, the market will not, yeah, see, this is like what we're kind of called it. We saw it was going to be here, but because this is a liquidity spot, this is another liquidity spot similar to the new one that opened down here. So basically the price is going to try to stay around this area, and if it did hit this other thing, this other liquidity sweep area, the price will go down a little bit more. But this is what we can see that happened from the liquidity sweep. It hit this specific area and then went from like 88,000 all the way to like 87,800. So yeah. Yeah, similar to what's happening literally right now, because it already hit this specific area, so it's going down a little more. But it already like liquidated a lot of positions, so there is not really much here. So you just have to wait that if it either hits the very top here, which it doesn't seem like it might do, and yeah, see, we can tell that it's literally liquidating positions and going all the way down here again. I thought it will stop the liquidity around this area, but it still didn't. So we just have to see, because if it's gonna undo what it did in the past hour or so, the past like 30 minutes or 40 minutes or so, then it will reach all the way down here, or like basically just around this area, and then it will liquidate even more to go all the way like around this area maybe, if it reaches like this specific area here. So if it reaches all the way down here, it will continue to go all the way down here, which it looks like it's kind of doing that, but because there's still the newer liquidation spots and there's basically a decent amount of buying and selling that's going on, it's very like equal into where it's standing. So there's like basically a newer support and resistance zone that is sitting at. But yeah, see, okay, this will probably continue to go down even more now, because it like kind of liquidated this area, so it will try to even hit more liquidity positions. But yeah, you can see where it's standing right now. It's around 87,800. It went down significant from 80,100 all the way to 87,800 right now, just in like 3 minutes, or less than 3 minutes even. Yeah, so this is why I kind of use the liquidity sweep from the previous levels that we see. Yeah, so it reached all the way down here, it took this liquidity, and then it went all the way up here. Interesting. So now this is why I kind of use this specific liquidity sweep algorithm, or like basically indicator, because it's slightly more accurate into where the price is gonna go, but it like doesn't really show as much. So for example, you can see like here, the price, for example, here tried to hit this specific area, which means that like here it tried to hit this specific area, which means that if it did hit the specific area, it would have continued to shot up to like similarly to what happened here, because if it hit this specific liquidity, which continued the price to go all the way up there. But because these liquidity pools are basically pretty sure the contract liquidity pools, they don't really have much say into the actual price itself. They just have like basically just people where people are getting liquidated, instead of like the sweeps itself of the liquidity sweep itself. But yeah, we saw that is actually like even hitting this over here, it made it go all the way like the very bottom because it liquidated a lot of positions. But yeah, I am pretty sure like this is the price where it's gonna stay in for a little bit more, at least for a couple minutes at least, because these are like the new liquidation bubbles that are sitting at. So the price will try hard to go up here, and the short positions, the short position will try so hard for it to go down here. So yeah, now the price is sitting around 88,200, hovering around that, not doing not much going on really, because the amount of like the volume of buying and selling is very significant. It went very much from 87,600 to 88,200. It's a very large candlestick actually. This is pretty interesting right now. But yeah, I reached all the way to 88,200, and it might even continue to go up, but because this is already a lot of buying positions, so it might kind of continue around this area, at least for the candle. Like the new candlestick will start around here probably. And then after that we can see where the next volume spike is going to be. Yeah, see, standing around here, and you can see the next volume spike. Pretty much a little bit of sellers will try to hit this. Yeah. So now it's sitting around 88,152. It's trying very hard to reach these specific spots, these specific liquidation levels. Because if it reaches these specific liquidation levels, it should theoretically like even like liquidate positions, which would drive the price even higher to where it's supposed to go. Similar to like here, it reaches like specific liquidation levels and it went like kind of down here, but it didn't liquidate this level, so it didn't really do much. And now there's smaller liquidation levels that are liquidation bubbles basically, or like liquidation levels that formed. So the entice to go at the very top or at the very bottom is not as much. But yeah, the candle already started from 88,000 and now it's already all the way to 87,100. So right now the price is 87,800, which is very interesting. And it's going down very significantly, you can see that. But yeah, we don't see the new liquidity sweep Lux algorithm, which would help to actually show where the actual liquidity pools are, like similar to what this is. So that's why a lot of like sellers try to short the position, or like short positions try to hit this specific area over here as well to try to bring the price down, which they did, and then it hit again at the very right here. Yeah, after spikes up it goes down. Yeah, because a lot of like liquidity, a lot of sellers try to hit specific liquidity positions because like they're trying to like basically short it back after the quick spike, similar to what happened before. So now the price is at 88,000, similar to what happened over here as well. You can see like a lot of long positions here and short positions that basically liquidated other positions. But yeah, the price now is sitting at around 88,000. So we can see this is what the price is trying to hit, and like we can make our decisions based on where it's standing, because if it arrives like around this area, it means it will shoot up a little bit more around this area. That's where you try to do your trade and try to take profit from that. Similar to like going down at the very bottom where we're saying the same thing. If it reaches this specific area, it should theoretically go down as well, a little bit more. So like if it reaches here, it should go down here a little bit more. But this is basically the liquidation levels, not the liquidity sweeps. Liquidity sweeps are more accurate into where measure like where the price is trying to go even more compared to the other liquidity bubbles that we're using. But yeah, it's already over 2%, 2.24% actually, since the market opened, which is very significant. Uh, pretty interesting. Like over here, I would think like where the market opened, and now it's around basically this area over here. 88,125 is the new price right now, and it's hovering around that. It's been hovering around that for a little bit. Let's actually remove the drawing. And we can see that this is like the reason it's stabilizing is because this is where the prices are trying to be, and because there's like basically equal volume of buying and selling, this is where it's like standing basically. Yeah, so you can make our decisions based on where the price is going. So if it hits this specific thing, it means it will try to also hit the other liquidation zones at the very top, or it will try to hit also the very other liquidation zones at the very bottom. But we're still trying to see the new liquidity Lux algorithm like liquidity sweeps, which it didn't show because it's way more helpful and gives you even more information into where the price is going. What does that mean? So basically, these positions over here, this is a short position. So this is a person making a contract saying the Bitcoin will go down. That's what he's saying. And the opposite is over here. This is a long position. So the position is saying that Bitcoin will go up. So this means that if it reaches this position because you put a contract, saying that it's going to go down, so it means that you will lose your money because it reached the level where you said it will not reach, similar to what's down here. So this is what and is the opposite's happening. If it reaches this specific level, some people try to because it will liquidate other people, so it means the price will go up, which then the sellers try to like basically the long positions here are trying to reach these specific positions to basically take profit from the short positions, similar to what's happening down here. Similar to what happened down here, this is like short positions trying to reach this like liquidation areas, which they did, and it liquidated people. That's why they took profit. And then a lot of buyers try to hit very quickly so it doesn't reach the next liquidation level at the very bottom here. Similar to what's happening right now, a lot of buyers are trying to hit these specific levels to liquidate where the sellers are. So you can see this is like where the specific like major spots that the price is trying to be. You see, yeah, now it will probably go up a little bit more even. Yeah, see, it's going up more. Yeah, to hit these liquidation spots. Yeah, this is a lot of sellers trying to step in to stop the buyers from hitting these major areas. But yeah, you can see there's so many sellers stepping in right now, trying to liquidate the other positions. It looks like a deadlock. Yeah, it looks pretty, yeah, see? It's going up. And now it will stay at around 88,400, around that. Come on. Yes, we see it happening. Come on. It should continue a little bit more. It should continue a little bit more, but it didn't, which is very interesting. Okay, yeah, we kind of knew that it's gonna happen. We kind of saw that it's happening. reached this specific area. We knew that it's gonna try to go all the way to the very top of liquidity, but it didn't because there's a lot of like selling momentum as well, like selling volume as well. The price now is at 88,357, and it's over like 2.4% where the price is. Yeah, but we're kind of looking into into where the price might go. Now let's actually continue where it's saying it's 88,347, which 880,372, and there's a lot of buying momentum going on at the very top, which is very, very interesting right now. But yeah, we cannot see the new this is why I kind of have to use the other bubbles. This is why I like the other liquidity sweeps more instead of the liquidation levels, because this is just showing you where the price is trying to go. This one is showing you where after it goes to this price, people will get liquidated. Like it will even drive the price even more down. Yeah, similarly, even you can see, as I was talking before at the very bottom here, a lot of major basically long positions basically tried to hit this specific key level and this specific key level. That's why there's two basically liquidity sweep levels, and the price tried so hard to reach this area, which if it did it, then it would have continued to go down a little bit more, but buyers stepped in and immediately liquidated the other the short positions, which then, after liquidating the short positions here, it drove the price pretty significant high up. Then a lot of people like took profit, and then like around this area a major thing happened. So but yeah, we kind of notice that it will try to stay between these two areas, because there's these are like where the liquidities are, where the major liquidity spots are happening. But yeah, sitting around 88,340 with not really much change going on. It's actually going up pretty decently. It reached a minute before to around 88,500, which liquidated this specific position. But we don't see the other liquidity sweep actually. But yeah, the price is sitting around 88,416 right now, or 88,350. So the thing with Bitcoin right now, as I was mentioning before, is that the price doesn't really change crazy as much, like when it was actually kind of stable. Like right now, the price is changing 0.01 at a time, like without hitting like major liquidity areas. So basically, if you're trying to trade Bitcoin, the issue is that even if you use spot trading, not futures trading, then you will not make a crazy amount of money unless you put down a lot of money. Because like basically, if you spot trade, saying like long or short, then you basically are just gonna get a couple percent maximum every day, like 1% or something like that, which is, could be decent, but it's not as much for like trading specifically. You can see here the price is around 88,500, with a 2.6% increase since the start of since the market opened. And actually, yeah, TradingView doesn't have any news for the past 2 hours. There's a news article that actually talked about Bitcoin like washout points to $180,000 in 90 days, which is insane. Which I don't believe is going to happen, because it will not reach $100,000 before the end of the year, which a lot of people thought it might, but it most likely not, because it hasn't really broke through the $93,000 range. It's still sitting around 88,400 right now. Like yeah, and like the maximum it reaches like 89, and yesterday it was pretty high, like 90 something, 90,300 ish. But yeah, there's pretty much a lot of buying that's happening, and this might create a fair value gap over here. So it might even drive the price a little bit down after the next candlestick. But still, there's a lot of buying volume that's happening. So from what I can see, this kind of shows that this very fair value gap, unless it actually hits this liquidation spot, which is looks like what it's trying to do. Yeah, see? There's a fair value gap, but still there's the start of the candle, so we have to see where it's going to continue. So we call that this is a fair value gap, which fair value gap means that there's a uneven amount of buyers and sellers. So basically, because of a delay or something, so then the sellers will step in after a little bit, or the orders will go in after a little bit, which then drives the price down, which is what happened over here. But like right now it's kind of hovering around this area, around 88,000, which is higher than where it started, so we cannot really call this a fair value gap yet unless it stops around this area. But it looks like it could actually. Yeah, so this is like basically like a fair value gap, where yeah, we're too far from the previous one, way too far. Yeah, it is very far from the previous ones, but the price level is very close. It runs to like 89,600 something, I think. Yeah, 89,500 around that like area. But right now it's sitting around 88,000 because there's a pretty much a huge fair value gap that happened from this candlestick over here. You can see. So yeah, if you're trading yourself, I think you can basically use a your own like methodology or your own strategy. You can check which strategy works best for you, and basically yeah, which one works for you. For example, I see that these liquidity sweeps hit, but I wouldn't really use it here on Bitcoin because the difference is pretty much small. So it's 88,100. It only went to like 87,700. So that's basically like not even like a 1% difference. So the future or whatever trading that you were using wouldn't make as much money compared to what your other coins or other crypto that you're trading in. But yeah, you should just check your own strategy and check which one works specifically for you. One of my favorite strategies is the fair value gap strategy. It's like you can see it basically everywhere. Where, for example, here, but this is a kind of a hard area because there's a area here. So for example, let's look here. This is basically what a fair value gap, where you can see there's like a lot of buying that happened. You also need to check where the wicks are specifically, because specific wicks wicks will tell you where it's going up or going down or where it will reach. and like the fair value gap means that the starter wicks should be like lower than the where it was before. So here, for example, these are three like small insignificant changes. It means that there's a buying buying area where it should be, because there's a lot of sellers and not enough buyers. This is what happened here, similar to what's happening over here. There's basically buy, 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 buy. This is similar to what a fair value gap, usually 3 candlesticks. Then it does the opposite. So because there's not much selling that's happening because of a fair value gap, it basically process the orders of the selling after a little bit. So then that's why the price goes down. Very similar to other areas. Okay, so the price now is 88,450. You can kind of see where a lot of fair value gaps is. I was gonna mention this one here, but it's not really one because of the wicks are where like the points are, and where the because there's a what's it called, a liquidation zones over here, like liquidation sweeps down and up. So both prices try to hit hard both areas. Okay, so you can see here, it basically went up here and liquidated the top part here, which means that it probably will go up very, very slightly more. Yeah, see? We knew that. We said it will go up very, very slightly more, and it just did. It just did. Like, it's so easy now. It's so easy to know where the prices are, where liquidations are. It's so easy. So you just have to see where the liquidation is happening. Which exchange you guys using? You can use Binance. You can use other exchanges. It depends on which one is more comfortable for you. You can use whichever exchange you think is interesting and works for you. But right now I am using like TraderView to check the prices, because it has pretty nice indicators, which a lot of programs don't have. These indicators, you can add also your own indicator to some programs. Even you could have custom indicators in Binance, I'm pretty sure. Sorry, not in Binance, in TradingView. That's kind of what I use. So I have like 2 indicators. Basically the Lux algorithm liquidity sweeps, which is what is shown at the very bottom here, and then these bubbles over here that I'm seeing is the Lux algorithm, like liquidation levels by Leviathan. Yeah, and this is like basically this shows you where the price is trying to go. So this is why, like, the price hit this, and then because it liquidated a lot of position, we said that even if it hits this specific area, which it did in the last candlestick, like this specific area, it will go up even higher, and it went from like 88,500 all the way to 88,700 in like basically a couple seconds. So now the price is sitting around 88,380 or 395. Yeah, and now because they already liquidated the price, so Bitcoin sitting around 88,300. So because they already got liquidated at the very top, they will try to not even drive the price even higher to get liquidated even more. So that's why sellers are trying to step in to try to make a new like stable area around this. But yeah, the price right now is sitting around 88,300, and it's going down very significantly because a lot of people are trying to take profit from the liquidity that happened over here, which drove the price pretty significantly up. But yeah, so you just have to basically see where the liquidation like is just use a liquidation heat map or something. It will show you better, but you have to. But it's kind of harder to understand a little bit than regular like liquidity sweep or liquidation levels that I have right now. But yeah, it's already nearly $2,000 over the in the since the start the market open, and yeah, it's hovering around 88,200 right now and dropping pretty significantly from liquidating the top area over here. Yeah, we said that if it reaches this specific candle, it will even reach the area at the very top here. But because it's like Bitcoin's difference is pretty like small, so this means that the difference won't be pretty like major. It would just be like a 0.02%, 0.03, 0.04% maximum, because that it itself is a pretty big volume. But yeah. So right now the price is sitting around 88,171, and it's dropping pretty sharply. I think now it's trying to make a new liquidity zone. Like you can see, these are the next like liquidation levels. We're waiting for the newer liquidation zones to drop, or like liquidation levels to drop. But these are like the current ones where now the price is gonna try to reach these specific areas. So it will try to hover between this for a little bit at least. Unless like a lot of sellers try to step in and liquidate at the very bottom here, but because there's not much bubbles up here, it's kind of hard to there isn't much reason for like the price to go all the way at the very top. But yeah, right now Bitcoin's sitting around 88,140, and it's hovering around that. And it's dropping pretty sharply, but it's still kind of in the quote unquote support and resistance, but it's not really support and resistance because this isn't stable yet. Yeah, even see this candle at the very start was extremely interesting. So 88,060, 88,060, and now it's, the thing is, we should these usually update faster and shows you actual major liquidity sweeps, which are way more helpful than the liquidity bubbles that are over here. But yeah, so it's sitting around 80,000 right now. It might even drop below 80,000 because it's a pretty significant number. So people will try to probably drop below there because a lot of liquidity might even drop there as well. But yeah, we can see actually something interesting is that you can kind of tell that for example, from the liquidity sweeps that we had, the indicator that we have, the reason why the price topped here. So if we actually zoom in and see, we can see that the price actually tried very hard to go over here, and if it went over this current price, like not current price, but like around this zone, this is where a lot of other people would have got liquidated. And then if they did get liquidated, it means it kind of would have happened what happened around this specific zones. So it would have like shifted what happened here into over this area. But because a lot of sellers stepped in over here and liquidated a lot of positions to drop it all the way down here, and even more liquidation at the very bottom here, it dropped it very, very hard all the way down to 85,000. And then it it stabilized, all like tried to go up very, very, very slowly all the way to here, which then like liquidated a lot of positions, and a lot of bubbles started forming up around this area. But yeah, the price now is sitting around 88,100 and 170. And yeah, we kind of saw that it's going to be kind of stuck around this specific price for a little bit at least, because there was major shifts that are happening. So usually major shifts happens and then the price will stabilize for a little bit and then newer major shifts happen usually. Yeah, similar to like what's happening here. Like you can see a major shift and then stabilizes and then another major shift. Yeah, and the price started already where we saw it before, around 88,050. And it's dropping pretty hard. It's dropping nearly under 88,000. Yeah, see 87,000. This is kind of what we said that it might happen because 88,000 is a pretty significant number. So it will hover around that at least for a little bit. And then it will go, yeah, either ways. But right now there's like the candle is very uncertain. It's going very high up and very low, which is not really good for candles. Like you can see the price here, it reached all the way to 89,000, all the way to 88,000, like nearly $1,000 price difference in just one candle. Similar to this one, 88,000, and then here 87,000. Like literally $1,000 difference in just one candle. But yeah, we were saying that it's just the prices are gonna be stuck around this area. There's not really much that's gonna happen, unless, yeah, as you can see, even the liquidity at the top and the very bottom is pretty small, because the market already started and it did a lot of like major changes. Yeah, and even at the top here, there was a lot of liquidity that would have hit, but because it didn't reach like all the way over here, like higher, then it didn't do that. But yeah, it's sitting around 88,120 now, which with not major change, and we're saying like it will stay around this for a little bit because you can see the wicks at the start is the candle is kind of uncertain in where it's going. It's kind of just both buyers and sellers are like with the equal volume. Here we're talking about like some news articles, some articles from TradingView. Basically, Julian Bettel posted on RSI base chart on X, formerly like showing that historically after the RSI indicators went below like 30, Bitcoin's average price path sometimes rose sharply over the next like 90 days, potentially 180,000. So, like Julian Bettel is kind of saying that Bitcoin might go all the way up to 180,000 over the next 3 months. But it was like described as a conditional or like template chart, not a guarantee prediction, of course. It's tied to like technical analysis and GMI's view that the Bitcoin cycle may extend into 2026 and that the traditional 4-year cycle isn't the only like framework. The article explicitly states that the chart isn't meant to be a precision forecast and emphasized the conditional nature of the framework itself. But yeah, so now the Bitcoin is sitting at around 88,200 and the price is pretty hovering. And the thing is, it will stay around this specific area because there isn't really major liquidity in either end, maybe at the bottom here. So it will try to hit this specific zone to liquidate the other positions. But because there's still a lot of selling potential that's happening, it's not really changing that much actually. Even like compared to both wicks are so small, the difference is very small. But yeah, it's now staying around 88,200, which is like 2.3% more, over 1,970 more than this market open. So if you would have traded at the start of the market, you would have been pretty much had to have a little bit of profit. And even the new candles at the like very uncertain right now. But yeah, if we look at actually the performance compared to last year, it is very, very interesting. Um, it's nearly 16.7%, or actually like 6% under year to date, which is technically more than that because it reached more like higher price. So it's literally 6% lower than what it was last year, not what it should have gained minus what it was. So like it's still a pretty high number of loss since like the last couple months, but it's kind of actually stabilizing around 88,000, or not really 88,000, but like 87,000, 86,000, which I think is a new like stable position where it is. And now it's around 88,250, which is very interesting. Over $2,000 profit from where the market open is, so that's very interesting. Not like profit, but like over $2,000 where the market open is, and now it's 88,200, and the price is still very, very, like very, very sharp. It's not really very going up or down as much. We have to wait and understand where it's going first. So yeah, because there's not really a lot of liquidation that is happening at the very top or at the very bottom. There isn't really much opportunity or reason for the price to go up or down. That's why it's been like this for the past like 10 minutes or so. But yeah, this is this is why I kind of like these specific liquidity sweep algorithms more, or like the liquidity sweep indicator more. It's because it can show you that the actual price, like exactly where the actual price is trying to go, and after it hits this specific area, it will continue to go even more towards that area. Yeah, like you can see, we already talked about this. We can mention it before. So the price here basically just wanted to go all the way to this specific area. That's why the start of the candle, it would have showed you that it's trying very hard to reach this specific zone. Which then, if it reached this specific zone, this all of this would have basically happened around this specific area. That's why like a lot of buying momentum happened here, a lot of buying momentum happened here, but only after hitting this zone, it continued to shoot all the way up here. But yeah, importantly, like the article that I was talking about does not provide hard evidence that Bitcoin will like hit 180,000 in 90 days. It recounts a chart shared by a researcher and the commentary around it. That means if I produce a 5,000 word, so here's basically the Bitcoin markets like go through like phases that feel like chaotic when you're inside them. So this is what kind of like the article's talking about, that if it like produces, it will not really produce as much information about where it's the price is exactly going to go, and all we have to do is like produce something informative, like where we think it might go, or something based on like previous charts or something like that. But yeah, Bitcoin markets go through like phases that feel chaotic when you're inside them, but when like you zoom out, certain behaviors repeat often enough to analysts try to model them. So certain behaviors, like the article that I'm talking about called Bitcoin Washout points to 180,000 days in $800,000 in 90 days. GMI says is built around one of those attempts. It does not claim like Bitcoin is guaranteed to reach 180,000. It does not claim that the price targets are basically guaranteed. What it does is highlight a historical pattern observed by global macro investors, head of macro research Julian Bittel, based on momentum indicators and prior cycle behavior. So the core argument that they have right now is centers on like what traders call a washout. So in market terms, a washout refers to a period where selling pressure becomes intense enough to flush out leveraged positions, weak hands, and short-term speculative access. Um, these events are often accompanied by sharp price declines, elevated volatility, and extreme bearish sentiment. Importantly, washouts are not like inherently bullish or bearish by themselves. They are deceptive, not predictive. They tell you like something about positioning and stress, not about the future outcomes. But yeah, we can see the price right now is actually going up pretty significantly, all the way up to 88,460, which is very interesting. And it's sitting around that for a little bit now. That's over 2.5% since the market opened, which is pretty significant actually. But yeah, the price is sitting around 88,425, and there's a lot of buying and selling momentum. But the thing is, it's not really. There's no much reason for this to even happen, because the liquidation spots are not that like huge. So even if it hit this specific liquidation spot, it will not really go up as crazy as it should. On the yeah, see, so it kind of went up a little bit. But the thing is, like, it might even go up more since we don't see. But yeah, the reason why I said that it will not go up as much is because this isn't really a lot of liquidity. It just tried to hit this specific liquidity area, and then and then like people just basically took profit. So yeah, it's sitting around 88,545 now, and it's basically like over 2.6% or over $2,300 positive from the start of the market. So it's pretty interesting actually. So the price now is around 88,500, and not really much change. They just liquidated this small short positions, which is very interesting. But because there isn't really much of other liquidity at the very top here, unless we're like looking at this specific one up here, which is a pretty big one, there isn't much reason for the price to even go up as much. So yeah, mostly now sellers will probably try to hit the price to go down slightly to hit these specific zones, but we should just wait and see first. Unless there's a lot of buying, we can see from already there's a lot of buying momentum that's been going on for the past like 15 minutes. So it's pretty interesting that there might be even more buying, but I don't think it will be like that. Which will try to hit these liquidation zones or even higher here, but I doubt to reach that because there isn't much liquidity around these specific areas here and here. So the pretty much the people that are enticed to drive the price is to go all the way to the bottom here and drive the price at the bottom here. But it looks like it's still going to go up, which is very interesting here, to try to even maybe liquidate this position. And the price now is at 88,630, which is almost to where it hit at the very top, actually 89,000. So it's going up pretty decently here. But yeah, you can see that maybe the sellers will now try to hold the position and will try to drive the price down, maybe because they will try to liquidate other like more bigger liquidity positions than the long liquidity positions. But yeah, in the JMI chart referenced in the article, the key indicator is the relative strength index, or RSI. RSI is a momentum oscillator that measures the speed. Yeah, so we basically we saw that it reached this area, and there's because there isn't enough momentum and there isn't enough reason for it to reach all the way up here. We said that the price will go down, and it did go down from what we can see over here. Which is very, very interesting, and now it's hovering around 88,000. um, but yeah, because already there's pretty decent amount of selling and buying positions. The next, yeah, even like the wicks, the price is very, very like equal, so it will probably hover around that for a little bit. Maybe a lot of short positions will try to hit this, but because there's already been a lot of buying positions at this specific like range, and even all the way up here, it's hard for it to still continue to go all the way up here. So yeah, it's saying that it might actually drop a little bit because it's more enticing for it to go down here. And yeah, you can see that this is like kind of hit the liquidation area at the top here, and because it already took profit at around this specific area, it went down at the very bottom here. But yeah, the price now is sitting at 88,430, uh, which is very, very interesting. But yeah, the next like major zones are supposed to be like either here or here. One of them. It doesn't. I'm not sure if it will reach this specific high because there's basically a pretty decent amount of liquidity up here, but there's even way more liquidity at the very bottom here. So this might kind of entice the price to go down, so it liquidates a lot of the long positions instead of liquidating the short. Sorry, the short positions at the very top. So we can see what we were talking about, that even like the price here, there's a lot of buying. That means that it's going actually kind of down. Hello, hello, welcome from New York, welcome from LA, welcome to the stream. But yeah, the price is sitting around 88,400, which is still 2.5% more than the market open, and now the nearly $2,200 over what the market started at. And now it's around 88,400, and it will, as we were saying before, there's two major spots that it might reach to, either this one or this one. This one is because a lot of long positions, short positions, are betting against Bitcoin falling. So then the buyers will try to hit, basically make Bitcoin hit this specific zone to liquidate uh, the short positions. Then after it liquidates, it basically hit the price a little higher than it was, which then basically helps do that. Same thing as the opposite at the very bottom here. If the price reaches this basically liquidity bubble at the very bottom, the price will still even like go down because it liquidates even more people. So a lot of like, this is what like long positions uh, is what short positions would want to hit, would like want to hit towards. But yeah, see now the long positions are trying to hit and liquidate the specific bubble area, which they actually might do that, which then would drive the price very slightly higher up. But yeah, it didn't reach it all the way at the very top because it's pretty much around here, not really just this line. Oh, you can see now there's a new liquidity bubbles that are forming. This means that the price is around here, and this is where like the newer, higher like contracts that are sitting And even like if it hits this specific bubble, it means that it will try to even hit more up, slightly like a bit more up from what we can see here. Which there's a lot of buying around 88,800, almost actually reaching the newest high that it was around 89,100. But it might soon actually reach the yeah, it's going up. It's going up very, very quickly actually, which is very interesting. We needed to hit this specific liquidation zone because it already liquidated this area. So yeah, so you see that it went even more up, more than we thought it would. We said like if it reaches this specific zone, it will drive more up, and yeah, it's doing that. We saw that it's happening right now. Yeah, and if it reaches this specific zone, actually, it's very interesting. It will try to liquidate the zone around this area, and then it will like hover here and then go maybe a little bit up more, trying to go all the way, because it's an 89,000 level. Right now it's 88,950, and the price will probably try to hit the 89,000 level. But it's kind of hard to know because there's been a lot of buying liquidity yet. But buying volume. Yeah, see? So it did hit this level, so it will try to like go even slightly more up. Yeah, see? We can tell. We know that it's gonna go even more up now. Like we said, it was gonna go up, and it did go up. It's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, so it liquidated this position, and then it went all the way up here to 89,200. Went all the way 89,200 because a lot of people got liquidated at the very top here. Which is very, very interesting now. Yeah, interesting. So you can see now this is a new, this, I really like this. This is the new liquidation, like liquidity sweep algorithm. So if it did hit this specific level around here, then the price will even go shoot higher up even more by a pretty significant amount. So the price now, the buyers will try very hard to stick around this specific areas, but the short positions will try so hard to drive the price down to liquidate the bottom area. But I believe it's still kind of hovering around this specific zone. So if it reaches this specific area, the price will be around here. So we needed to reach this specific zone. Yeah, okay. But it didn't liquidate the other position though. Interesting. Okay, why is that? Why did that happen? There might be a glitch with the liquidity sweeps algorithm actually, because it might just appear that there is more liquidity sweeps that we are not seeing, and that's why the price is trying so hard to reach this specific area. So we said that if it reaches what this specific area will go up or something like that, or already did. But yeah, it might even reach the 90,000, 89,000, like 90,000 basically, or actually 89,000 for like 400 or 500. Over $3,000 more than the market open, which is very interesting, and nearly 3.6% over the market open, which is extremely good. Yep, we're saying it's gonna happen, and it's happening. 89,300. Yeah, it reached all the way 89,360, but it stayed around that. Yeah, maybe the liquidity sweep stopped because it kind of noticed that it might not be a liquidity sweep. Actually, I think it did actually, because I remember this almost hitting the edge, I think. So the liquidity sweep was around this level. So then after it did hit this edge, it went up all the way up here. But yeah, the price are now sitting around 89,500. 89,170. I don't know why I said 500. 89,150. 3.4% over the starting price. It went all the way to 89,350, and there's a lot of buying momentum that's happening right now. It's even higher than the where it reached. Actually reached 89,470. So it needs to reach even more liquidation zones here, which it actually might, because there's a pretty decent amount of liquidity at the very top here. But yeah, it keeps reaching certain zones and then dropping. Similar to here, it keeps certain zones and then dropping. It will try to also hit these specific zones as well, but because we don't see any liquidity sweeps at the very top, it's not really enticed to do so. But the price right now is sitting around 89,285, and it's pretty much just hovering around that area, trying to hit all the way to the top here to liquidate these positions. But yeah, of course, sellers are going to try to step in and drop the price. Now, I'm pretty sure the new level for sellers is going to be around this specific area. If the sellers try to like liquidate the other positions, maybe around this specific area over here, because we don't see any of the newer bubbles yet. But yeah, now the price is around 89,200, just hovering around that. And it's actually gaining a lot of momentum. I think we should actually like, yeah, the cross is fine. And it's hovering around that. It's going to try to hit these liquidity areas, but because there's still pretty much a decent amount of selling that's happening right now, like over here, and how this candle went all the way up here, but it's kind of stopped in the very end, it's still pretty much a hard hard thing to do for it to reach at the very top. But then if it did reach at the very top, there's a lot of liquidity at the very top. So we still have to wait for it and see where it's supposed to be going. Now the price is around 89,270, which is very, very interesting right now. We were talking about the positions at the back here, about this liquidity sweep, for example, at the very bottom, how it, after hitting this specific position, it went all the way down here. But yeah, we were talking about the actual article that we saw, the GMI chart reference in the article itself. The key indicator is the relative strength index, or RSI. So RSI is a momentum oscillator that measures the speed and magnitude of recent price changes, typically on a scale from 0 to 100. So traditionally on RSI reading below 30 is described as oversold, while reading above 70 are described as overbought. These labels are conventions, not laws, so as an asset can remain oversold or overbought for extended periods, depending on market structure and macro conditions. So basically what Bill highlighted was that Bitcoin's RSI had fallen into a deeply oversold territory. So similar to levels seen during like prior sharp corrections within like longer term uptrends. So on this chart, he overlaid prior instances where Bitcoin RSI dipped below comparable threshold, and then tracked the average price path over the following 90 days. In several historical cases, Bitcoin rebounded strongly after those conditions were met. One of the extrapolated path extrapolated paths, if applied to current prices at this time of the post, would imply a move towards approximately $180,000. But yeah, now the price is exactly $89,000. The other one is $180,000, but $89,000 right now exactly on the dot, which is a pretty significant number, because if it drops below 89,900, then it will drop pretty sharply from what we can see right now, 88,909. And this is because a lot of short positions would have got liquidated at the very top here. So the short positions are trying very, very hard to arrive at these key levels at the bottom here to liquidate even more positions. Because if we compare it at the very bottom here, if this arrives here, then the price will even go even more down compared to like here, for example. If it arrives at the very top here, then it will go even higher. So we need to wait for the price to see if it goes up here or down here first. And if it does, then we will know after that, then where is it going after that. Yeah, but he said that the applied current prices at the time of the post would imply move towards approximately 180,000 over a 3 months window. So he's claiming that in 3 months, Bitcoin might hit 180,000, which is very interesting. I don't think it might, but yeah. This is like where precision matters actually. The chart does not really say Bitcoin will go to 180,000. It shows that in some historical analogs, price appreciation following similar momentum resets was large. So the 180,000 figure is not a forecast generated by a valuation model. It's a cash flow analysis on a micro equilibrium framework. It is a mathematical projection derived from past percentage moves applied to current price levels. But yeah, we can actually like look at gold price right now, because Bitcoin is kind of steady at where it is, and we can see what's happening right now. We're looking at a 3-minute window, and there's pretty much a lot of volume that's being traded even at this moment. Pretty much equal volume compared to a lot of other things. We can see same thing happens. Oh yeah, there's a primary source of data is interesting. Yeah, so there's an issue actually with what else provided. Yeah, okay, interesting. So so now the price over here, we can see that it's trying so hard to reach this specific area, which then if it did similar to what it wants to do over here, the price will even shoot up a little bit more, because this is what the positions is trying to do. If you look at the Bitcoin price right now, it's pretty interesting. Let's actually zoom in even more. It's trying very hard to sustain that 88,000, like around mid 88,000 to 89,000 level. But it's very, very interesting where the price is going right now. So the distinction is critical from like the article that I was talking about, because markets do not repeat mechanically, they rhyme at best. So every Bitcoin cycle has occurred under different macro conditions. So earlier cycles happened when Bitcoin was smaller, less liquidity, and largely disconnected from institutional capital. So more recent cycles have unfolded alongside like global tightening cycles, so ETF inflows, regulatory scrutiny, and a significant macro volatility. So like any technical template that ignores those differences is incomplete by definition. So right now the price is sitting around 88,730, around 2.9% higher than the market starts, or $2,500 higher, which is very interesting. It even reached nearly a new high in a very long time. But it didn't reach the $90,000 level, which it will try to do. If you're looking at the top here, there's a lot of liquidity at the very top and at the very bottom here that occurred because of the price action that's going up all here. But yeah, you can see that there's a pretty major sell-off that's happening right now. There's a lot of selling that's going on. That's dropping the price pretty significantly from 89,200 or like 89,300 all the way to 88,600 right now. Now, the article that I was talking about actually references GMI's broader view that Bitcoin's cycle structure may be extended beyond the traditional 4-year halving rhythm. This is not a new idea, nor is it universally accepted. So, some analysts argue that as Bitcoin matures and becomes more integrated into global capital markets, its volatility profile and cycle timing may evolve. So others argue that the halving remains the dominant driver of supply dynamics and market psychology. At present, there is no empirical consciousness that the 4-year cycle is dead, only that its influence may be interacting with more variables than before. So what is factual is that Bitcoin has historically experienced violent corrections even during bull markets. So in prior cycles, drawdowns of 30 to 40% were not uncommon in the past, or higher highs. These corrections often coincide with leverage reset. So funding rate collapses and sentiment reversal. In the sense, the term washout itself is not controversial. It simply describes a phase where speculative access is reduced. So the price right now is sitting around 88,780, and it reached all the way down to 88,600. But the thing is, it's hovering still between these two price levels, because the first liquidation for the long positions, it's at the very bottom here around 88,100. This is a major liquidation spot. But the other liquidation areas, probably for the long position, short position, is at the very top here, around 89,150. So this is basically the new price level where it's staying, and after it reaches specific levels, it will decide whether it want to shoot up or shoot down. But yeah, now the price is sitting around 88,800, and it's hovering around that for a little bit now. It didn't really changes much from what we see. We can look at actually Ethereum on the other hand. It's actually basically very similar price action that's been going on, but at the top here there isn't really much. You can see there isn't much liquidation that's happening. It's actually under 3,000 right now, and it almost reached this specific milestone here. And if it reached the 3,000 mark, then because there's a major liquidity strip at the top here, it would then shoot up even more if it reached this specific area. So if it reached this specific price point, then it will shoot even more. But yeah, even in Ethereum has a very similar market to Bitcoin right now, from what we see. But Bitcoin has way more liquidity opportunities for other people than Ethereum actually. But yeah, now we can see the technicals is saying that there's a lot of selling that's happening right now, even though there's a lot of positive, almost 3% positive that happened since the start, which is very interesting right now. Now, where interpretation, as I was saying from the what's it called, the article that I was describing, where interpretation begins is in assigning forward outcomes to that washout. So GMI's chart uses historical averages to suggest that what could happen if similar conditions resolve in similar ways, but averages hide dispersion. For every instance where Bitcoin rebounded sharply after a RSI reset, there were differences in timing, magnitude, and context. Some rebounds were immediate, others took months, some failed and rolled into deeper consolidation. Bitcoin moon soon? Yeah, hopefully to the moon. We're still waiting, but because there isn't really much reason for price to go up or down right now, there is like liquidation at the very bottom here, and there's liquidation at the very top, but we're still waiting, and it looks like it might actually hit the bottom here because that's what it did at the top here. What it did like a couple minutes ago. So this is why like RSI, while useful, is not standalone like signal. Momentum are like the best understood as descriptive tools. They tell you where price action sits relative to like recent historic, not where it must go next. So an RSI below 30 can indicate exhaustion, but it could also indicate that the early stages of prolonged downtrend if macro conditions deteriorate further. So yeah, we can see that the price actually is trying to hit this specific liquidation zone, which is very, very interesting right now. The price is sitting around 88,540. Now, the article does acknowledge this implicitly by framing the $180,000 outcome as a template, not a prediction. So that language matters very significantly. So a template is a comparative tool. It invites discussion. It does not really assert certainty. Unfortunately, headlines often compress nuances into shock value, which is how conditional scenarios become interpreted as a call. So from a macro perspective, whether such a rebound is plausible depends heavily on liquidity conditions, monetary policy expectations, and like risk appetite. So Bitcoin has shown repeatedly that it responds not only to crypto-specific developments, but also to broader financial conditions. If liquidity expands, financial conditions ease, and risk appetite improves, historical patterns of aggressive rebounds become more plausible. If conditions remain tight or worsen, historical analogs like lose relevance basically. So right now, Bitcoin is sitting at around 88,560 and over like 2.6% higher than the actual market open itself. We can see that the price itself is trying to either hit the specific high or the specific low around 89,000 or at the very bottom here around 88,000. But because the next liquidity sweep for the short positions are pretty high, that's why a lot of buyers are not really buying as much, and why the price is kind of going down, trying to hit this specific 88,000 and like mark, this level mark. So now it's sitting below 88,500. So another like factual point worth clarifying is the role of global macro investors itself. So GMI is a like research platform focused on macroeconomic analysis, market structure, and cross asset behavior. It's not a crypto only outlet, and its research often emphasizes probabilistic frameworks rather than point forecasts. So Biddle's work, including this chart, fits that specific style. It is meant to provoke a discussion about regime shifts, not to function as a traditional signal. But the thing is, like Bitcoin now is sitting around 88,500, which with not much market movement right now because the new candle already started right now. You can see that this is kind of very this is a pretty big gap in the value itself, similar to what happened back here. So yeah, you can see the price right now. We were talking that it wants to reach this specific level, and it might do that actually very soon. But yeah, it's hovering around 88,443. Just without really much price change, it's going down pretty significant actually. Never mind, sitting around that trying to hit this low, because if it hits this specific 88,000, it will kind of liquidate a lot of people, similar to what happens like around these specific areas, for example, or like these specific areas that liquidate people to price, to develop the price more up. But yeah, this is very interesting right now. Now, the article also touches like on sentiment, which is an underappreciated component of washout dynamics. So extreme bearish sentiment often coincides with local laws, but not always. So sentiment indicators are most useful when combined with positioning data, volatility measures, and liquidity matrix. On their own, they are incomplete. Fear can persist longer than traders expect, especially in uncertain macro environments. But yeah, you can see the price now is trying very hard to hit this specific, basically volatility, like not volatility, like a liquidation ball. Because if it does hit this liquidation ball, it will probably drive the price even slightly lower. But yeah, this is it for this stream. I will stream again pretty soon. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to